Welcome back to the duck pond build. If you're new here, this is part of a bigger homestead project we've been working on. The goal is to create a natural-style swim pond with bubble pump filtration for our ducks, a place they can swim, something easier to maintain, and honestly, a project that makes this corner of the property come alive. Today's all about the foundation work. We're starting off by cutting these big 6x6 timbers and dropping them into the hole. They're heavy, but this is where the project starts to feel real. You can actually see the bones of the pond beginning to take shape.
37! 37!
Now here's the important part. These timbers aren't actually staying in the ground. They're acting as temporary forms for the concrete. Think of it like a mold. The wood holds everything in place while we pour the dry concrete. Once the concrete cures, we'll remove the timbers, and what's left is a squared-off footing that's ready to hold our 4x8x16 cinder block swim zone box. That block box will be the real backbone of the pond. But it needs a solid foundation first. Without this step, the blocks would just shift and sink over time. And honestly, I'm not even sure why David, the guy I've been following for inspiration, insists on building a cinder block retaining wall here. But it's a step he swears by, so it's a step we're following. Sometimes you just trust the process even if you don't fully understand the reason yet. Getting the ground level under these timbers is a job in itself. And of course, it wouldn't be our yard if we didn't hit rocks every few feet. I swear I could open a gravel pit right here. Even the excavator was giving me attitude. Half the time I felt like it was in charge, not me. But after enough back and forth and a few choice words, we finally got everything close enough to level.
In the middle of it?
Next up, locking the forms in place. On paper, this step looks easy. Drop in the timbers, line them up, square the corners. In real life, it's like wrestling giant Lincoln logs that don't want to cooperate. Every time I get one side straight, the other side decides to lean. And yes, there have been a few oops moments already. Like the time I thought it was perfect until I checked with the level and realized it was sloping like a ski hill. Once the forms are in place, we move on to the dry, pour concrete. Instead of mixing in a wheelbarrow or a mixer, we're just dumping it in dry and misting it with water. Sounds simple, right? Well, those bags are heavy. By the time you haul the fourth or fifth one, you're questioning every life decision that brought you here. And here's something I didn't realize until I got into it. Concrete can burn your skin if it sits on you too long. It irritates your eyes, and the dust will tear up your lungs if you breathe it in. So yeah, gloves, goggles, and maybe a mask aren't just nice-to-haves. They're essentials. Lesson learned the hard way.
Making a concrete form. Huh?
Why made it a square?
Because when you make a form, you have to do the opposite of what you want.
And why are you doing concrete?
But once the concrete's poured in and misted, it really does work like magic. It locks everything together without all the backbreaking mixing, and it gives us the strong footing we need for the next stage.
I'm just doing it because I see David.
We might have to start moving the dirt out.
No.
If that gets
No,
wet.
listen, I'm following David Pagan Butler, this guy from the UK.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 3. Because next time, I'm basically turning into a mason for the first time ever. I've never laid bricks, I've never spread mortar. But that's exactly what's coming next with the cinder block swim zone box. Should be fun, right? Or at least entertaining for you guys to watch. But here's where you really notice the details. The dust kicks up the moment you open a bag, so I've got the hose set to a fine mist, not a blast, just enough to wet it down without washing it out. The key is to level it off as you go, tapping it down so the concrete settles into place. And when you step back and look at it, it's kind of a marvel. Just a few minutes ago, this was loose powder, and now it's shaping up into a solid, squared-off footing that's going to carry the whole swim zone box. It's a simple process, but when you see it coming together like this, it feels like a big win. So let's go over the dry pour method and how to do it properly. First, you dump the dry concrete mix straight into your form. No mixing tub, no wheelbarrow. Spread it out evenly with a rake or shovel so the whole area has the same depth. You don't want high spots or air gaps. Once it's leveled off, the trick is in the water. Set your hose to the finest mist you can get. You don't want a jet of water because that will blast the mix around and leave weak spots. Instead, let the mist gently fall on the surface, like a light rain. Move slowly back and forth across the form until the top layer darkens evenly. How much water? A good rule of thumb is to keep misting until you see the top start to glisten, but not puddle. The water will seep down through the mix on its own. If you rush and over-soak, you'll get runoff and streaks. If you under-soak, the bottom won't cure properly, so it's all about a steady, even soak. Patience over power. After misting, lightly tap down the surface with the back of a shovel or a tamping tool. That helps settle the particles and get rid of any hidden air pockets. Then step back and take a look. It's amazing how fast that loose powder starts firming up into a squared-off footing. It's one of those moments where you go, wow, this is actually working. So stick around, hit like, drop a comment if you've ever tackled something you had zero experience in, and subscribe so you don't miss the next stage of this build. We're just getting started, and it's already been one wild ride.